You love Ryan Garcia. He told me you're coming today. What do you tell Ryan?
Ryan's amazing. Ryan's a great guy. He's amazing. I like that he stands up for himself. He's not afraid to say what he thinks. And he's got a pretty fast left hook also. So I really want
you're a fighter. If you could box anybody, who would it be?
I probably wouldn't box a fighter. I'd box someone I don't like.
Like who?
Let me bust my cases, and I'll answer that question.
Canelo Crawford, who do you got? Canelo Crawford, who do you got?
Hard to bet against Canelo.
My honest opinion is I think he's going to be too small. Canelo is still Canelo,
The boxing world is on fire as the highly anticipated showdown between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez draws closer. But before the first punch is even thrown, the fight has already sparked heated debates. From Andrew Tate siding with Canelo to experts dissecting the size and skill differences between the two, everyone has something to say. But what happens when Crawford is underestimated? Is he being counted out too soon? Or does he have the skills to pull off one of the biggest upsets in boxing history? Let's break it all down. Andrew Tate shares a perspective on the fight, stating that it's hard to bet against Canelo Alvarez. While acknowledging Crawford's undeniable skill, Tate believes Canelo's strength, experience, and ability to handle different styles make him the safer pick in this highly anticipated clash between two elite fighters.
You love Ryan Garcia. He told me you're coming today. What do you tell Ryan?
Ryan's amazing. Ryan's a great guy. He's amazing. I like that he stands up for himself. He's not afraid to say what he thinks. And he's got a pretty fast left hook also. So I really want
you're a fighter. If you could box anybody, who would it be?
I probably wouldn't box a fighter. I'd box someone I don't like.
Like who?
Let me bust my cases, and I'll answer that question.
Canelo Crawford, who do you got? Canelo Crawford, who do you got?
Hard to bet against Canelo.
Hall of Famer Bob Arum recognizes Crawford's exceptional talent, but believes the fight will be one-sided. He argues that Canelo possesses the power to seriously hurt Crawford, whereas Crawford may struggle to hurt Canelo. In Arum's view, this power difference could be the deciding factor in the fight.
I think Canelo wipes the floor with him. I love Crawford. I told you when Crawford and Spence that Crawford would beat the hell out of him, but Canelo is a different proposition. It's an interesting fight, but I think there's only one winner.
Turkey Alishik and Dana White hint that the Canelo versus Crawford showdown could mark the first TKO ring event at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. If this happens, it would make history in the sport, adding another layer of prestige to an already electrifying fight between two legends. Virgil Ortiz Jr. expresses concern about the significant size gap between the two fighters. He acknowledges Crawford's greatness, but points out that Canelo remains naturally bigger and stronger. According to Ortiz, this weight difference could prove to be a major disadvantage for Crawford in a physically demanding fight.
My honest opinion is I think he's going to be too small. Canelo is still Canelo.
Ortiz elaborates on the pound-for-pound concept, stating that it only applies if fighters are in the same weight class. Despite Crawford's elite skills, he is moving up against a much heavier opponent. Ortiz suggests that skill alone may not be enough to overcome such a drastic size disadvantage.
I think Crawford is probably number one pound for pound. But what pound for pound means if they were all in the same weight class. They are not in the same weight class. I mean, 147 to he just moved up, right? I can still say he just moved up from 147 to 168. There are weight classes for a reason.
Virgil Ortiz Jr. believes that if both fighters were naturally the same size, the fight would be extremely competitive. However, since Canelo has a natural size and power advantage, Ortiz expects him to dictate the fight. The weight difference alone could significantly impact the outcome of the bout.
Now, if they were in the same weight class, then it's a different story. It would be a way more competitive fight, but they're not. You know what I mean? So I think Canelo's going to win.
Teddy Atlas points out that Canelo's extensive experience against top-tier opponents gives him a major edge, having faced various elite fighters. Canelo has proven his ability to adapt. Atlas suggests that this level of experience will make it extremely difficult for Crawford to pull off an upset.
You can look at it as the obvious advantage of the bigger man who's very experienced, who's been a world champion a long time, Canelo, tremendous fighter. You can look at him and, say, with all his experience, his skill sets, his resume of fighters.
Atlas further emphasizes that Canelo isn't just experienced, he is also physically stronger and more powerful. This combination makes him an even bigger threat. Atlas argues that Crawford may struggle to handle the sheer strength Canelo brings, which will be the deciding factor in the fight.
That he's fought champions, everything, that with his size, he's gonna have the advantage. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's dangerous. All those things.
Shakur Stevenson admires Crawford's mental toughness, saying he is one of the few fighters willing to move up weight classes. Stevenson believes Crawford's mentality is unmatched, and while many doubt him due to the size difference, his mindset and strategic intelligence could be the key to shocking the world.
If anybody could jump up in weight classes and do it, it's Terence Crawford. I don't know nobody who is mentally as strong as Terence Crawford. So
Teddy Atlas analyzes a fight from Crawford's perspective, pointing out that he is faster, slicker, and more elusive than Canelo. While Canelo has power, Crawford's quick reflexes and defensive skills could allow him to avoid big shots and frustrate Canelo, potentially shifting the fight in his favor.
And then, for me, I can look at the other side of the ledger, and I look at the smaller man and say, wait a minute, he's faster, he's craftier, he's experienced too. He's been a champion too. He can wind up where the other guy could be too strong and too powerful. He could be too fast, too slick.
Atlas raises an important question about Crawford's ability to carry his power up to 168 pounds. Many believe his power didn't fully translate when he moved to 154 pounds, and now against a much bigger opponent. There are doubts about whether he can generate enough force to hurt Canelo.
Moving up, I know with the Matrimorph fight that a lot of people would say, no, Teddy, he didn't carry his power to the 154-pound class. Now he's going up even another one to 168. How are you going to reconcile that?
Atlas argues that while Crawford may not match Canelo in raw strength, he excels at negating power. His ability to neutralize opponents' offense through movement, angles, and defense has been underrated. Even if he can't overpower Canelo, he might still outthink and outmaneuver him in the ring.
Again, he wasn't really able to catch Matrimorph. Was much better than people gave credit for, having only 10 fights with his amateur background. They didn't understand how crafty he was. He wasn't able to catch him real clean. But again, it's not going to come down to power. If the smaller man's to win this fight, he's going to negate the power of the bigger man.
Former opponent Sean Porter praises Crawford's relentless mindset, stating that he thrives on being doubted. Having been overlooked for much of his career, Crawford has continuously silenced critics. Porter believes that if he defeats Canelo, no one will ever be able to question his greatness again.
I think Bud is out for the best. That's something that I know personally about Bud. Feeling counted out and doubted for so long, I think that Bud mentally feels as if I do this against Canelo, no one can ever deny anything that I'm.
Porter points out that Crawford has spent years proving himself in every weight class. This fight isn't just about winning, it's about solidifying his legacy. If he beats Canelo, he won't just be a champion, he will become one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters in history.
For Bud, it's like this one you can't deny it. And I agree.
Porter highlights how Crawford has reached a level where there's nothing left to prove at his previous weight. He has dominated every challenge, forcing him to seek bigger tests. Moving up to face Canelo isn't just a bold move, it's a necessity for a fighter of his caliber.
Beyond that, there's really no one else for him to fight. He fought himself into what I like to say, out of this world.
Porter describes Crawford's journey as moving into Canelo's domain. Canelo has long ruled the higher weight classes, and now Crawford is stepping into that world. Porter sees this as Crawford entering uncharted waters, a place where only the most skilled and fearless fighters dare to go.
He fought himself into being on another stratosphere. That stratosphere that Canelo has been on for years. That stratosphere that not too many people make it to. Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya in his prime. You can't. So who else is there right now in that stratosphere other than Canelo? There is no one else.
Despite backing Crawford, Porter acknowledges Canelo's incredible ability to adapt. He admires Canelo's versatility, noting that he can switch styles seamlessly. This makes Canelo an unpredictable opponent, which could pose serious challenges for Crawford, who will need to prepare for multiple fighting styles.
The thing with Crawford, which is pretty cool, is he can kind of transform seamlessly and do different things in the ring, which is pretty cool for him.
Porter explains that Crawford's ability to fight at range gives him an advantage most opponents don't have. Unlike other fighters who need to get inside to land shots, Crawford can pick opponents apart from a distance. This could help him avoid Canelo's power while landing sharp counters.
Like for an example, he can box from the outside and get to the body. Me, I had to actually, slip and slide and get low, get in there and get to the body, so he has an approach of being aggressive that's different from even from my approach of being aggressive. He's tall and long, so being in range is just aggressive enough for him.
Porter doubles down on his belief that Crawford's versatility is the key to winning. He states that Crawford's ability to switch styles mid-fight will be crucial against Canelo. If Crawford can dictate the pace, control the range, and keep Canelo guessing, he has a real chance at victory.
For me, I had to actually be in there and on you, so believe it or not, I think that Crawford is the more versatile fighter, and I think it takes him using all that versatility to beat Canelo Alvarez.
The Canelo versus Crawford fight is shaping up to be one of the biggest matchups in boxing history. But who do you think has the edge? Will Canelo's size and power be too much? Or will Crawford's speed and skill prove the doubters wrong? Drop your predictions in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the latest boxing breakdown. Stay tuned for more fight analysis, predictions, and exclusive insights. This is going to be a showdown for the ages.